This lesson regards writing equations of lines. Typically, we would start off with our point-slope form, which is given. It depends on what type of information that you're given as to how you proceed. But to begin with, we'll write the equation y minus y sub 1 equals to m times x minus x sub 1. And looking at the information, the slope is given as negative 1/5. Bring down our y and our x. They do not have any subscripts. Bring down the minus signs. Our y sub 1 is going to have to be negative 6 because we do not have another point. Our x sub 1 would have to be positive 4, seeing as we only have one point. At this point, we need to simplify, and it says to write the answer in slope-intercept form. Two negatives give us a positive, so we would have y plus 6 equals to, distributing the negative 1/5 to both terms, negative 1/5 times x is negative 1/5 x. A negative times a negative is a positive. 1/5 times 4, which is over 1 as a fraction, you multiply the numerator, so 1 times 4 is 4, 5 times 1 is 5. And at this point, we would need to multiply by our common denominator of 5 so that we would eliminate the fractions. And those 5's cancel and these 5's cancel. You only cancel if there is a denominator other than 1. 5 times y is 5y plus 6 times 5, which is 30, equals to negative x plus 4. Since the answer has to be written in slope-intercept form, we need to solve this for y. So we would need to subtract 30 or add a negative 30 to both sides. Then we have 5y equals to negative x. 4 minus 30 is negative 26. And then we need to divide everything by 5. So our final answer would be y equals to, there's an understood negative 1 in front over 5. Write our x out to the side, minus 26 over 5. It does not reduce, so we would just leave that as our final answer. Another way we might see a problem as asking us to write an equation of a line would be where we would have just 2 points. Even though it's being requested that we write this in standard form, we're going to still start off with point-slope form because we have to write the equation of a line. Y minus y sub 1 equals to m times x minus x sub 1. So again, bringing down the y and the x, because they do not have any subscripts, minus y sub 1, in this case y sub 1 would be negative 2, minus x sub 1, which would be negative 9, and again, two negatives give you a positive, so changing both of those signs. What we do not have is the slope, so we would need to use our slope formula. Our slope formula being y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Y sub 2 from point 2 is going to be 10 minus y sub 1, which is negative 2, divided by x sub 2, which is negative 3, minus x sub 1, which is negative 9. And again, two negatives giving a positive. We would be left with 10 plus 2 on top, which is 12, divided by negative 3 plus 9, which is positive 6, which simplifies to positive 2. And if it does divide out or simplify or reduce, that would be easier to do it here. So we're going to take that 2 and substitute it in for our slope and simplify. Y plus 2 equals to, distribute to be able to get rid of the parentheses. 2 times x is going to be 2x. 2 times 9 is positive 18. Now the instructions are asking for standard form, which means your x and y terms are going to be on one side of the equation and your constant on the other. So in this case, I'm going to move my 2x to the left and move my positive 2 to the right. And it does not matter which direction you move these as long as the x's and y's are on one side. So I'm left with negative 2x plus a positive y equals to 18 minus 2, which is 16. Now in standard form, again, x and y has to be on one side. There can be no fractions. Well, we don't have any fractions. If there were fractions, we would multiply to eliminate the fractions. And x needs to be positive. So that's going to be something that's understood about the standard form. The x term must be positive. Well, in this case, we have a negative 2x. So what we're going to do is change all of our signs, or theoretically, you're dividing everything by a negative 1. So as long as you're changing all of the signs, that's what you're actually doing. So as far as a complete answer in standard form, this is what it would look like. Now there are some special cases where you would not need to use the point-slope form. And this would be some of the ways that this would be written. if you have a vertical slope and it's passing through a point, a vertical slope or a vertical line is going to be the equation x equals. And in this case, if it's going through the point 3, negative 6, the only x you have is positive 3, and that is your answer. So you do not need to use the point slope form because of the special case. Another way that could be asked would be if it's an undefined slope, which means the same thing. It's a vertical line. So in that case, it crosses the x-axis, and in this case, x is going to equal to negative 2. The opposite of this would be a horizontal slope. Well, in that case, your equation would be y equals, and in this case for the point, y is equal to positive 10. Or another way that could be asked is if the slope were 0, which would also be y equals, and in this case would be negative 5. So if it's a special case, there's really no need to use the point slope form.